Patrick Mahomes looked off early on, but then the offense started to get going for the Chiefs, and the offense looked good. And I do think that it's a possibility. I know I said it without any real reason other than just why can't this happen, Wilson? But sort of feels like the Chiefs offense could just get going all of a sudden and that they could ramp up and win a back-to-back Super Bowl.
What do you think, Breach?
I don't think that's crazy. I just think it blows my mind just all the disrespect the Chiefs have got. Yes, we saw that their offense struggled this year, but we kind of talked about it last week on the podcast, how if Mahomes just found one receiver he could trust besides Kelce, that might be enough for him to go off, because now you aren't just worrying about Travis Kelce, you're worrying about someone else. And we literally named Rashee Rice last week. He comes into this game and has a monster game. I mean, he was unstoppable. He was the star of the game out there, catching everything thrown his way. And so, yeah, I do think that it's the Chiefs. They get to the playoffs, they're dangerous. That's it. Yep. So I don't care what happened in the regular season with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are in the playoffs, they can win the Super Bowl. That's how I view Kansas City. So I don't think that's crazy at all.
Miami really should have scored in this game. I mean, the Tyreek Hill touchdown was very much.
Why shouldn't they have scored that one?
Well, it was like McDuffie made a bad play on the ball.
That would be interference, though, and then they would have the ball.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that it was like, it was 10 yards, it was like 10 yards underthrown. I mean, it wasn't like what you would, it wasn't like a great play design. It was Tyreek Hill is fast, comes back to the ball, gets it, and then jukes a bunch of people. I'm just saying that Miami converted, they got 1 third down, 1 of 12 on third down. They averaged 4.5 net yards per play, 264 yards, 3 of 6 on fourth down. Didn't get to inside the red zone once. I just think that Miami's offense was completely shut down by a good Kansas City defense and the weather, which for that offense, they look so much slower than they normally do. Whether it's the field, whether it's just the temperature, whatever it was, Tua couldn't push the ball. Tua doesn't have the strongest arm in the NFL, but he's a good, quick decision maker and a point guard. Didn't have a ton of time, and the Chiefs did a good job like hitting those guys hard. I mean, Tyreek Hill had that one play, but I mean, he took some big shots. He was coming off the field on some early downs, like second downs and stuff, and Tua looked terrible in that weather. In that situation, which a lot of quarterbacks are going to look terrible on the road. The narratives played out into reality when it came to the Dolphins and this setup and what they had to deal with the injuries and with the weather, to me.
I mentioned it earlier in the day during the several times we were talking about this game before it actually happened. Against his since being traded in 2022, Tyreek has struggled more against the Chiefs than any other team. He's averaging 7.8 yards per reception coming into this game against the Chiefs, which is a low, the lowest of the 24 teams he's placed. His explosive play rate is way down. It's the 4th lowest among all the teams. He drops more passes, and they also put him a lot more in the slot and a lot more in motion. He was in motion on that touchdown pass, and he got inside leverage on McDuffie, and that helped spring him open, that and the fact that he's the fastest person on the field. So that was really the only time, and I think they had a play later in the second half where they came back to him, and otherwise he was non-factor, just like Jalen Waddle was a non-factor for much.
Whole second half they put a safety up top and let Snead jam him. I mean, there was a bunch of, you saw him too, like Snead was hammering him with the line.
But the only thing I'll mention, since you and Breacher are now back on the Chiefs bandwagon, is that, and producer Harry, I'm sure, is
we all picked the Chiefs. We all picked the Chiefs to win, Wilson. Except,
yeah, I get that. No, they were going to win this game.
I've been beating this Chiefs offensive, like a Chiefs offense might click in the playoffs drum for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, you said the same thing about the Browns. Blind squirrel. I mean, but my point is this. This is my point. I don't care.
Brenton's taken. Man,
I've had to do HQ for an hour and a half. Like this morning, I had to pick somebody.
No, I don't. I'm fine with that. Yeah, we all picked them, as Breach noted. And if you guys want to ride the Chiefs, I get that. But here's what I would say about not necessarily this win, because I think we all agree that's going to happen going forward. The Dolphins were battered and bruised coming into this game. I read off Breach's stats in terms of how they are in cold weather. You just talked about Brinson, how Tua wasn't built for this sort of weather. It didn't look anyone on that team was. They made a bunch of dumb mistakes. Penalty wise, the Christian Wilkins pass late hit was a doo-doo call, but whatever. That wasn't the reason they lost. I'm just concerned that this is not necessarily sustainable. Now, Vic Fangio said we're going to go after Patrick Mahomes, and he did not stop. He did not let up. And Patrick Mahomes ate them absolutely alive. And a lot of that was because of Rashee Rice was able to catch a lot of balls that he's dropped in the past over the course of the season. Travis Kelce had a case of the drops in this game, but if not for Rashee Rice, maybe the game's a little tighter. I think they still win. And also the running game got going. And I don't know if that running game travels against the Bills, maybe. I don't know if Rashee Rice does these things against the Bills, if that's the team they end up playing next, if chalk happens. That's my only concern. Not that this team hasn't historically been great, but they're not the same team that they were the last few years. That's my only point.
By the way, I just happen to have this up from Next Gen Stats. Dolphins use cover 0 on 18 dropbacks, tied for the second most in a game since 2018. Mahomes is actually only 7 of 18 for 74 yards, negative 6.2. This is via Next Gen Stats, as I mentioned, negative 6.2 EPA versus all of the coverages, 16 of 23, 188 and a touchdown. The cover 0 stuff, though, like to your point, Wilson, the blitzing Patrick Mahomes, just like, the all-out blitz maybe works occasionally, and it worked in some spots here, but he was able to get the ball out and get enough completions to pick up those first downs. He also ran the ball really well, I thought. Like, it had time in the pocket. If the Steelers beat the Bills.
Oh, now we're going to talk about the Steelers winning the football game.
Well, if that happens and the Chiefs get to host the Texans,
they don't want that smoke.
I think they prefer that to the Bills on the road, right?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, I don't
know. You don't
have
the Texans at home than the Chiefs on the road. I mean, the Bills on the road.
I get it. Just that the Bills have been so wishy-washy as well. Everyone's been wishy-washy, except for the Ravens and the 49ers for the most part. But yeah, no, I get it. I think you do want to play the Texans at home, but do you not, Breach? You haven't said anything.
Oh, well, I mean, I was just looking at the weather, making sure it wasn't going to be sub-zero temperatures. It's going to be 15 degrees next week. That's better. That's better than -5 or wherever the hell it was in this game. And, here's the thing with the Chiefs is that they didn't play their best game. And we mentioned that Patrick Mahomes was off, that he wasn't super accurate, and that Travis Kelce was dropping balls, and that it took a while for them to get going with their rushing attack. They still won by 19 points. They were horrible in the red zone. They settled for 4 field goals, and they still absolutely dominated this game. So we're talking about a team that played its B- game, maybe C+ game, and still won a playoff game by 19 points. So for me, I think that's what you're telling your team if you're Andy Reid is that, look, guys, we played okay. We destroyed them. We can beat anyone, and we'll play better next week. Travis, you're not going to drop 4 passes. Mahomes, you're not going to airmail 6
do you
passes.
Think I don't think they played badly at all.
They didn't play their A game.
The second half was a python strangling out a frozen dolphin. But the first half, no, they were definitely the Chiefs could have been a blowout the whole time, I mean,
they got to the red zone 6 times
they're 2 of 6 in the red zone. Yeah,
they were horrible in the red zone.
I think Breach is right. I mean, they highlighted it at half. And by the way, the cut to they kept doing the in-game updates on that broadcast. What was that? Stop that! They'd be like,
didn't see that.
They'd be like, let's go down to. Yeah, let's go to the studio. It's like, what? Don't go to the studio in the middle of the game. What are you doing?
Because of talk there. Maybe that.
I don't know. They did it several times.
The only thing I want to say about Peacock is that I felt like it was running about 45 seconds behind the actual game. I watch everything on streaming. I have YouTube TV, and this was lagging more than any other stream I've ever had. The picture looks great, sound, everything was great, but a lot of lag.